if I can have stuff that comes up on Facebook. Hmm. This video is live now. How come it's not showing it to me?
All right. Cool.
We're here. I swear to God. Today is.
Yeah.
Well, let's see who's on here. Hold on just a second. I hate this. I love this. All right, let's see what this is. Here we go. There we go. Technology, man. If you're just tuning in, welcome to another edition of the Waked and Baked show. We're going to talk a little bit about CBD, some THC, and talk with my friend, business associate, and hemp grower, Sean Rosa. Sean, good to see you again, buddy.
Hey, good seeing you. How are you been, buddy?
You know what? It's been a crazy, as you know, and anybody who's watching this, it's been hotter than holy hell here in Arizona, or at least in Phoenix here for the last several days, like 117, 118, 119. Today is a beautiful, fresh, brisk day of 106.
You know what I mean? It feels great. Jeez. You wake up and already you're just like, how much hotter can it get? It's already, 100 degrees in the morning. But, we adapt out here. We adapt to this climate. It's getting easier every year, I swear.
Well,
I just feel
it
myself
might be for you. I mean, I'm
beat
only
down.
a trans. It's hot, man. It's just Africa. No, their place. No, it's Africa hot because if it was in the Sahara, it'd probably be that hot too.
Right? Holy.
All right, now, basically, here, we're just. Are you getting feedback from me?
No, I can hear you good. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you good, but I hear a little feedback somewhere. So let's see what happens if I do this.
I'll have to start doing the headphone too.
So far, so good. Well, that's much better. So basically, we were talking earlier before we came on live about basically who can't
Your
use
mic.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but your mic it's like far away from where your voice is now. There you go. Oh yeah, when it's close to your mouth, you can hear it really well. You have no sound now. There's no sound. Rick, I can't hear you. There's no sound at all coming from you.
How about now? Nothing?
Hey, I can hear you good. See you good.
Sorry about that. I plugged in once, unplugged it, and I guess StreamYard makes you get back out and back in again. Sorry about that. What we were saying before, and it's important.
Oh, you're good.
Was basically I said who couldn't use THC? I mean, who couldn't use CBD? And you basically said that question. What can anybody use it?
Yeah, I think so. That's just our understanding of it is that when women are producing milk in the mammary glands, that they're producing CBD as well. All mammals do. When they're breastfeeding, they're transferring on the ability that their body makes CBD on its own. So we're not sure who can't use CBD. There's probably somebody out there who can't, and if they have certain issues, certain problems, you know what I mean? They may have already run into where the doctor said, do or don't, don't try this or maybe do try that. So it is individual based application. And then we really haven't run into anybody who's had any adverse effects. We haven't had any patients, any problems for a while. It's all based on testimonial. And it's been good in that way.
We just got a message from Laurence Vale from France. Yeah. Laurence, your shipment of oil has landed in Paris right now and will arrive sometime the next day or so. So we're now interesting. Yes. So she's sitting there, where's my shipment? I go, it is on its way. Kristen's on here. Kristen McQuillan, she's here. Thank you, Kristen. I may not be able to see some of you who are on the other Facebook feed, but it's good to have you guys on here. So the other thing, so pretty much anybody could use CBD. THC is a little different. I know some people will use THC even in a workout. Like I know people who use forms of sativa before a workout. Why would somebody use cannabis before a workout?
A lot of people have seen their recovery rate after workout is better. So if there's a muscle recovery rate, it's how the muscles metabolize and work through the aminos and how those reconfiguration of the cells afterwards, how the building block of those cells come together when new strands of fibers are being formed, there's a better recovery. So they're enjoying the pain reduction, and it's also helping with the rebuilding of the new cells. And a lot of them consume a lot of calorie intake, so with that caloric intake and keeping up with how much they usually have to eat to keep up with bodybuilding, a lot of them enjoy that because there's an appetite stimulant as well that's a component of that. So a lot of them are finding, using THC and CBD together, one for one thing and one for the other. That's kind of what we're talking about into sports today, sports medicine and recovery.
I know folks who use a sativa blend before their workout and use the CBD oil at night or the lotion at night when their body's going into recovery.
Yeah. The lotion, super amazing. Like we formulated it to work because we needed a product ourselves and had kind of exhausted the route of going anti-inflammatories and pain pills and prescribed pain medication, and it just your body can only tolerate so much. You needed something else, and that's where we got to this point. So once we found a formulation that worked, we stuck to it, and we just kept increasing the amount of CBD until we saw a really positive effect quickly, where we could put it on an area that was affected with a broken or strained muscle or deep muscle bruise or inflammatory areas like around the joints that are closest to the skin, ankles, feet, shoulders, wrists, hands, the areas at elbows that are really, really close. And it was working because it penetrates, and we formulated it to do that. So when it gets down in there, it helps with the inflammation, it's pain, it's actually helping causing the pain. So it's been huge.
And we have someone on here who's asking, like, our speaker or my partner here today, Sean, has been in this industry for years. Hemp, cannabis, all of it. So there's a lot of knowledge here. I also have been in the health food industry for over 10 years. Owned health food stores, all of that. And getting back to one of the other questions, somebody had asked if they had an allergy to hemp, could they use it? And I would go, check with your doctor, because that's a different ball game if there's an allergy there to hemp.
Right. Yeah.
And if anything,
if you're allergic to oregano. Right, like you said, always check with your physician or a doctor if you have any underlying concerns or questions that you're trying to address.
Somebody just sent in a question. How does CBD orally and topically help you heal? So how does CBD do it orally, and how does it do it, topically?
Yeah, orally, once it gets into our GI tract, it goes through our process systems, right? So it's going to go through your major organs, your GI tract, and it's going to get into your bloodstream that way. When it enters into the bloodstream, it's going to work as the anti-inflammatory agent that helps reduce the swelling of the areas that are they're swollen either because they're inflamed, because they've been overused or injured by some other method, contusion or strain or repetitive use. And the CBD is going to go and it's going to help with the inflammation that way. It's good because it should be something that's part of the daily regimen. So it should be, in the system. So it's like it takes care of a lot of those aches and pains, especially the daily aches and pains. As we get older, we're less lubricated. Our joints are a little bit more worn down. We've had more injuries and more little things throughout our lives, and they've kind of now coming to the surface, things that happen in the fall in your 20s and 30s. All of a sudden now you're a little older, and all of a sudden you're feeling that. You're like, oh yeah, I remember when that happened, and I'm feeling it again. So we're replacing the lubrication for one and reducing the inflammation for two orally. And then topically, we're going in and we're going directly to the source of the pain, and we're attacking the nerves that are firing and saying, what's going on here. And we're finding those areas and reducing the inflammation that way topically. And that produces a pretty rapid feeling of relaxation to that area, to the muscle, to the joints, to the nerves that are upset in that area. And so we just keep reapplying it until that's been healed.
And here's something else here. People are talking about the onset, like how quickly does something work? And I go, well, with CBD, like with an edible's still going to be, whether it's THC or CBD, about 90 minutes, I guess. I would say
40 minutes usually. Vaping. Yeah, I'd say 40.
Smoking and vaping, probably fairly quick, like 8 minutes, 9 minutes.
Yeah.
And then under your tongue is about.
Can happen. They can trigger
it. You can even apply the oil to your skin, and that will go in fairly quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and, we've seen results within 6 seconds, 8 seconds under the tongue, sublingual.
Okay.
Even though you may not feel the effects internally, you may not understand what's happening. You may not even feel the change, but the receptors are taking those molecules in, and they're moving them along, and they're telling the body, we have this now in the bloodstream. We have this medication available. When you're smoking the product, onset is super quick as well, 6 to 14 seconds, for the initial onset for some effects. And then you have 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of an upward interval, and then that duration may last for X amount of time, and then there's a downward interval, so that whole duration could be anywhere from an hour or 2 to 3-4 hours. And that way, an edibles could be, an hour to onset and 6 hours to wear off.
Jesus Christ, how do you know all this stuff?
Practice. Years of practice.
I'd like to say hello to Darlene Lang from Anthem Fit, exercise instructor who's watching us today. I want to say hello to her today. Thank you, Darlene. It's nice to see you. Someone is asking here too, like this guy Bob is saying, I use the CBD oil for my anxiety, but I tend to use the THC more for my depression. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's what it would be intended for. Yeah. Yeah, they work together, one to handle the depression, one to handle anxiety. So, you know.
And if you guys heard that, that's important. We kind of glazed over it, but CBD, anxiety, and THC, a little more depression. The different strands of the THC.
And they go hand in hand.
Yeah. And be really careful out there, guys. If you see a CBD product that says Bob CBD oil, sativa, Bob CBD oil, indica, no such animal. So it's like it's CBD helps with anxiety, doesn't matter. So unless it's something.
It's marketing words. Yeah, there's a lot of flash words and marketing words.
And in some ways, guys, you do get what you pay for, that kind of thing. I wish there's a little more tighter stuff on how CBD oil is made, because some people say, like, I didn't get anything from CBD oil, and you would say, what, Sean, to that?
Yeah.
When somebody says,
we paid for a blind test.
Yeah. Make sure it's
I'll
tested.
tell you real short. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. In real short, we tested 9 different brands that were bought off a big company online, right? We'll call them Glamazon for a name. So 9 of these oils were purchased. Of those 9 oils purchased, ours being the 10th, those first 9, when they tested those, 6 of them came up with 0 CBD in it. 0.
Wow.
No. 0. So those 6, okay, they're off. Same price point as with the 0 behind the CBD when they tested them. They were just MCT oil. That's all it was. Flavored MCT oil with the word hemp oil on it, with the word CBD on it. And they were in the same price range as ours with the same 1,000 milligram dosage as ours. So the people who were buying that product, they didn't feel anything. They're absolutely right. Yeah, I bought it and CBD didn't work. Well, they didn't buy CBD. They bought something else with the name on it. So those first 6, they're gone. The other 4 that were tested, they had less than what they were printing on the label. So they weren't even accurately displaying what they had, and they were only hitting on one of the cannabinoids on CBD in isolate form. So basically, they were using a isolate powderized version of the molecule. So it's been isolated and it's been converted into a crystalline structure. And then they water soluble that into their oil mix, like a CBD, MCT oil, and that's how they make their CBD oil. And so theirs was a diluted version and was only hitting on one cannabinoid, where we were hitting on 5 different cannabinoids in ours because it was a broad spectrum and we could only remove the THC out. So when they were comparing it, it was just like, wow, man, this is taking something that's real and natural and organic that you purified and, I made it into a good product you can take under your tongue, versus taking a MCT oil and putting a dash of CBD in it and trying to sell it as medicine. So there was huge contradictions. It was the different types of medication that's available to people. Both people could have bought the same product. One guy got the real thing and the other person got the imitation or nothing in it thing. And so now their interpretation of what CBD does for them is wrong, but what they got wasn't real. And even though it said tested, well, it says tested, right? It's the whole
anybody can print the word tested anywhere. And then someone just asked, can CBD used in conjunction with other anti-inflammatories? And it looks like, because they're working on 2 different pathways. So, you can use it with your
stuff. A lot of times, it's they want to get people off the acetaminophen. They want to get people off the heavy chemicals that build up in the liver and build up in the organs, to process these things. It's like it does damage. The first thing they give you when you're hurt in the military is go to the nurse and get anti-inflammatory, right? Acetaminophen. And so years and years of that, it does damage to the liver, to the pancreas, to all the organs that are processing that chemical. Well, you have an ability now to get access to something that we didn't know was going to have this effect. Like the mass majority of people didn't know CBD was going to be out there, that you could get it, that it was going to help, and that there's another alternative that may be able to replace what they have been taking that isn't what their body wants or needs. So there's other options now.
I think in some ways it saved my life, because when I got hit by a car several years ago, they tried to put me on opiates for a couple of weeks. That did not work well. But since I've used CBD and THC, I don't think that I've used more than 2 ibuprofen in a year. In a year.
Yeah. Me neither. Yeah, I know.
And I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I don't want to put any more strain on my kidneys than I need to. And ibuprofen, aspirin, all of that will do that. Our friend from France called or texted in and said, "This is why I'm ordering from Arizona. I don't trust oil from France." I'm like, okay. Well, you can trust us.
There's a lot of good fragrance companies out of France. I mean, they've been dealing with botanicals and dealing with that for a long time, but they haven't been dealing with this industry, so
they haven't.
You have to find one that works for you, and if it's a good product and it's well tested and it works for you, then use it. Whether it's ours or someone else's, if it works for you and it helps, use it.
And remember what we talked a little bit about today. Some of you who use THC and CBD in conjunction, little sativa to get you up and going for your workout, great. And then in the evening, CBD or something to help your body relax and to go into recovery, because working out is about recovery and it is about decreasing inflammation. So.
Right. Sports injuries, repetitive injuries. I mean, what can I say? I mean, I nearly severed my spine in 2013. No, sorry, 2003. Geez, that goes back a long time. 2003. And that's when it was shortly after that. Yeah, a long time. So it goes back that far. That's when I started finding something that worked, because I was hooked on the opioids too. I mean, that was it. It was bad. It was like there was no way to control the pain. The pain was just 6 months of physical rehabilitation. There were times where they would say, "Oh, you're not going to have kids. You may not, you might be wheelchair bound by the time you're in your 40s or 50s. We don't know how severe and how bad this is because of the tear and how bad the separation was." And the drugs weren't working, right? The opioids and all that. I mean, it masked it, but the pain was there. As soon as you come down from feeling what the opioid was doing, the pain was just instantly. It was right there on the surface, just waiting for you.
Just waiting.
There had to be some other way.
And it really messed with my attitude, everything. It was just, my wife was like, "You can pack up your shit and go anytime you want." So,
right.
But
well, it depletes your body too of a lot of minerals, those kind of heavy drugs. And then we talked about last week, people coming off opioids and people dealing with addictive substance abuse problems, even from this, whether it was medical induced because they were taking it because they have a legit reason to take it, and then they get hooked on it afterwards, or if they're dealing with something else like depression or anxiety and they're self-medicating and it's turned into another form of addiction. That's how we've been able to help people. We've taking the oil instead of taking XYZ, taking the pain cream in addition to the oil to address the pain where the pain is on the surface, where you can get to it quick, on the back, on the shoulder, on the ribs, on the hand, on the elbow, the places where we can get that medication quickly. The pain cream for pain works great there. When we're dealing with inflammation in other areas, we're talking about joints and we're talking about disc pain, that's when the oil And a lot of oil sometimes is needed just to get it in there on a daily regimen. It could take 5 days before you notice. You wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
Well, I kind of know now. Then you go off of it for a month because you forgot to renew and you get busy and you're like, well, damn it, I keep hurting again. I'm like, oh, that's why. I forgot to take my own medicine that I make and it's right there in my own cabinet and I've been forgetting to take it, you know?
And that is the thing too. I mean, I sound like such an old guy, but I am an old guy. But I use the CBD oil in my iced tea. I dump a little beetroot powder in it with the CBD, and I'm on my way, and I'm
Right.
ready to go. The diabetes, I'm lucky. The CBD has actually helped with that a lot. With my own pain receptors, the nerve stuff in the fingers and in the hands. Yes,
Right.
got stuff going on with your feet, the tingling. I use that kind of oil or lotion and put it right into the feet.
Neuropathy.
It really does help a lot. Neuropathy, yes, the magic word, neuropathy. So is there anything else you'd add today to our little show about what we're talking about?
Do people have any questions that we didn't get to yet about?
I think we covered everything. Yeah, we did that. How can you tell if? Well, we've already talked about the fact, but how do you know whether or not you're susceptible to have it work for you?
I would try it in the morning and try it in the evening, an hour before bed, and when you wake up in the morning, and watch how your body reacts to the medication and give it about 3 to 5 days and see how your body adjusts and reacts. If you don't like the feeling and you don't like it, it's not for you. There's got to be something else. We got to find some other pathway for you. And if you do see a positive effect, well, then you're onto something. Either you need to increase it to get more of an effect or decrease it to decrease some of the effects. Like, well, I take it, but I'm feeling a little more tired than I thought I would. Well, you might be more sensitive, than the other person. So let's back it off a little. Maybe you need half as much as the next guy who's right next to you, and they say, well, I'm taking this much, but I could use more. So this is where we talked about the differences in blood type, body type. There's just so many variances that make us individual, and it's not a cure-all, but it's a something that we can use in order to get us on the best health path that we need to be on individually.
And it says, and I've heard, I told people when I owned the health food store, like when they tried something, one thing used to really kind of tick me off, and people can do what they need to do for themselves, but I would love it when they would try just something like a joint remedy and come back the next day and go, this doesn't work. And I would go, give it at least 2 to 4 weeks before you could make a decision. That I would tell anybody who's trying a supplement, 2 to 4 weeks. And that is a good way to find out to do that. Well,
we've seen it within 5 days. If you take our medication every day for 5 days, right? What you have, they're going to see a difference in 5 days. They're either going to feel like this isn't for them or it is for them. That's it. It's kind of by that 6th day, either they feel like, well, I'm missing something if I don't take it because I enjoy the benefits of what I get from it, or I'm on to the next thing. It's not for me. Something, but I haven't had that experience. That's the problem. Is I've had more people run into the problem saying, well, it's just expensive. And I say, I know it is expensive. It's expensive to get enough to make enough medication to make it affordable. It costs a lot.
I also say though this, the cost to me isn't that much because of the benefit that I get from it, and the benefits I get without any of the negative side effects. you know, it
right. And
really
I usually,
you
are the same way. We're replacing something else. Yeah.
And I'm just glad that I'm using it now and I am getting the benefits from it. For all of you guys today who watched this is like our second or third time out. And it actually went pretty well today. I'm so excited. So,
right.
And we will be bringing on people here, joining us. I talked to a young lady out in Pennsylvania whose child has a condition that CBD oil helps. We'll talk about that in a few weeks. We'll be talking to, I believe, young Justin soon, I hope, from Deeply Rooted.
Yeah.
If he ever comes
we got to get Justin on here. And
Seth.
I think getting us together in Seth, and we'll get in the studio. And I think once we get this show in the studio and we have one camera and we have some mics all mic'd up and you and me, we're doing this show, I think they're going to really enjoy the format and kind of some of the things that we have in store. Like I said, bring on guests, having some topics, addressing more of the concerns and questions people have, and not just, this isn't just a plug for our medication. You know what I mean? This is actually trying to provide information, for people who are looking for that right avenue. It affects them in some way. So next week, if there's something, we need to talk about, any messages that they can send your way, we'll address them,
and please subscribe to our YouTube channel because you can get a lot of stuff that's coming in. We'll put other information, other clips up there as well. Thank you guys very much. Oh, we will be going live Saturday from the Concentrate show in Scottsdale, Arizona, right?
Yeah.
So we will be there.
Concentrate in comedy. Concentrate in comedy,
And we are not the comedy, although we may be.
And guess what?
We're not comedy.
It's your birthday. Can I mention that? I mean, it's your birthday, man.
It's going to be my birthday. It's going to be a special day. And Mr. Rick has never dabbed before. I can't believe I'm saying this live, but Mr. Rick's never dabbed before.
And we're going to do it live. We're going to do it live.
And
in front of a huge crowd of people with,
3,000 people. And I'll be there doing that. So please keep following us. And we will see you guys Saturday. Peace out. Thank you, Mr. Sean. And we will end the video.
Thank you, buddy.
Show. Bye. Bye-bye.
All right.